Rep. Tim Ryan Timothy. Tim Ryan acting chief acknowledges police were unprepared for mob. 6 ways to visualize a divided America. 6 Capitol Police officers suspended. Others investigated after Capitol riot. More. Ohio. On Thursday said federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. are reviewing the footage to see if members of Congress gave Capitol tours to rioters shortly before the deadly Jan. 6 insurrection. Ryan, chairman of the House Subcommittee with oversight of the Capitol Police, told reporters that accusations surrounding lawmakers allegedly giving reconnaissance tours to rioters before the attack are now in the hands of the U.S. Attorney here in D.C. TheHill has reached out to Justice Department for comment. Advertisement. Ryan told MSNBC's Rachel Ann Maddow League of Conservation Voters adds racial justice issues to 2020 congressional scorecard. Newly released footage shows Schumer's near miss with Capitol rioters without Trump. Late-night comedy becomes even more insufferable more later that evening that he could not elaborate on the investigation. The U.S. Attorney has the investigation going on now. I'm sure they're looking at the footage. So that's in their hands now, Ryan said. Anybody who's dealt with the U.S. Attorney during an investigation, it's like a black box. You don't really know what's going on, but you know it's happening. Rep. Mikey Sherrill Rebecca. Mikey. Michelle Sherrill calls Grow for 9/11 style panel to probe Capitol attack. Belfast's troubles echo in today's Washington. Democrats point fingers on whether Capitol rioters had inside help. More. DNJ. A former Navy pilot said in the aftermath of the riot that she had witnessed colleagues leading people on tours of the Capitol in the days leading up to the attack, calling the walkthroughs reconnaissance for the siege. Sherrill is not alone in her concerns about security at the Capitol complex in the lead-up to the assault. A coalition of more than 30 House Democrats has called for an investigation into suspicious tours, saying either they or their aides witnessed an extremely high number of outside groups in the complex on Jan. 5. Which is unusual given that public tours of the Capitol ended in March 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic. Advertisement. They also wrote that some of the visitors encountered by lawmakers appeared to be associated with the Stop the Steal rally that was held at the White House Ellipse the next day, when Congress was certifying President Biden. Joe Biden disappointed in Senate parliamentarian ruling but respects decision. Taylor Swift celebrates House passage of Equality Act. Donald Trump Jr. calls Bruce Springsteen's dropped charges liberal privilege. Moore's election victory over former President Trump. Donald Trump Jr. calls Bruce Springsteen's dropped charges liberal privilege. Schiff sees challenges for Intel committee community in Trump's shadow. McConnell says he'd back Trump as 2024 GOP nominee. More. Members of the group that attacked the Capitol seemed to have an unusually detailed knowledge of the layout of the Capitol complex. The presence of these groups within the Capitol complex was indeed suspicious, the lawmakers wrote. Rep. Steve Cohen. Steve. Ira Cohen. House Subcommittee debates reparations bill for Black Americans. House Democrats renew push for checks on presidential pardons. Rep. Cohen responds to Denver Post editorial on criticism of Boebert. Moore. D10. Said that he and Rep. John Allen Yarmouth Democrats call for relief package to waive taxes on unemployment benefits. Democrats in standoff over minimum wage on the money. Neera Tandon's nomination in peril after 3 GOP no's. Trump rages after SCOT-US rules on financial records. More. D. Key. Saw first-term Rep. Lauren Boebert. R. Colo. giving a tour sometime between Jan. 3 and Jan. 6. Boebert responded to Cohen's accusation on Twitter, saying she hasn't given a Capitol tour to anyone besides family members who were in town for her swearing-in ceremony a few days earlier. "I guess having a big family is a scandal now," she wrote. Speaker Nancy Pelosi minimum wage setback revives progressive calls to nix Senate. Filibuster House Democrats to keep minimum wage hike in COVID-19 relief bill for Friday vote shift. Sees challenges for Intel committee. Community in Trump's shadow more. D. Califf suggested that any lawmakers who are found to have assisted in the attack may be criminally charged. Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman said Thursday that security will remain tight because of intelligence that some militia groups that attacked the Capitol on Jan. 6 have threatened to blow up the complex when Biden delivers his State of the Union joint address to Congress. No date has been set for Biden to address Congress.